Hi, Anti-Society! Welcome back to the Antisocial Planet, and today we're watching episodes 219 and 220 of Bleach. So in the last couple of episodes, we finished up the fight that Yumichika was in, which was interesting. A little bit too much on the comedic side for my liking, but like considering I'm assuming the rest of this arc is going to be a little bit intense anyway, given all of the fights that are like being set up. I guess we gotta take some comedic points where we can get them, right? But we did get to revisit how Yumichika feels about his Zanpakuto and like how that pertains to like what he sees his squad as and like the people that are important to him and like how he wants to be viewed as a Soul Reaper and as a fighter. And it was a wonderful contrast with Kira's fight, who came later, and Kira's view on like what he wants to be as a Soul Reaper and like how he wants people to see him. So there was like this wonderful like juxtaposition of these two like very different ideas about like what it means to be a Soul Reaper and to like be a fighter, contrasting each other. Because on the one hand, we have Squad 11, which is very combat heavy. It's about finding glory and purpose and like strength through combat and fighting, and like having it be worthwhile to die on the battlefield if it means like fulfilling your purpose, which is like being a fighter and trying to become stronger. And Yumichika wanting to hide the fact that he has like a keto based weapon because it's like not really a like offensive weapon. It's more of like there's more of like trickery involved in it, I guess. It's a less like straight combat kind of weapon, and it's more of like, taking someone's spiritual pressure, and that's like a very different way of going about combat than most of Squad 11 sees. So him wanting to keep that a secret because he doesn't want people that he respects and cares for to know that like he doesn't measure up to that expectation, and him stating straight out like that he was willing to die in his fight if it meant keeping that secret. Like it's more important to him to keep the kind of version of himself in the eyes of people who matter to him than to like survive. Like his life doesn't mean as much to him as like maintaining that image with the people that matter to him. And then we have Kira, who I'm pretty sure, does Kira also have a keto based weapon? I'm not really sure because he uses it with Kira a lot. Anyway, Kira came after that, and Kira and his squad very much are like almost the opposite of like what Squad 11 represents, in that they take no glory in fighting. Like that's not what fighting and combat is for. It's not to like find joy in any way. Instead, it's about like doing what's necessary because it's like ultimately good, even though it brings like despair is one of the big words that they used, but also just like it brings injury, like it brings a loss. Like fighting isn't something that is meant to bring joy to the fighter. It's meant to like bring joy to other people, and like it's supposed to be more of like a somber thing, and a somber responsibility with Kira and his squad. So I really loved putting those two fighters like back to back to like really see how like both of them are willing to die on the battlefield, and they're willing to like do whatever it takes to adhere to like what they want to represent as Soul Reapers, but they're very different images. And I've always loved that about like Bleach and like the whole like Soul Reaper culture or whatever, is that there's so many different people and they all have different motives and different reasons for being Soul Reapers, and yet they all are Soul Reapers. Like there's so much diversity in who these people are that like you can't blanket a motivation. You can't be like, this is what Soul Reapers are for, like this is what Soul Reapers represent, because there's so much complexity in like each person taking their own thing. Like each squad has their own reasons and their own motivations, and then each person within that squad also has their own motivation. So I really like that breakdown. on these characters in general. It looks like we are going to get into Hisagi's fight, which people seem pretty excited for, and probably some of Ikagu. I don't know if we're going to see a lot of Ikagu because we've seen him fight quite a few times already, so I don't know how much of that we're going to see, but Hisagi we haven't seen really fight a whole lot. So I want to see what kind of abilities he has, what kind of motivations he has, and also like how he's doing because he, had some betrayal with the whole Aizen situation. So I'm sure he's going through some stuff too. So let's get into episode 219. In three, two, one, go. I'm just thinking about how like close we are to actually finishing the Arrancar arc. Like it feels like I just started it and I was like, oh, this is such a long arc. Like it's gonna take forever to get through it. And now there's like only a couple parts left. There's not a whole lot left of Bleach in general, like of the main story, now I think about it, which is crazy. I feel like I'm just jamming it to the opener. Yes, we're beginning the actual face-off. We finished two of them, so two left. I'm assuming there'll be also like other people will come and try to destroy the pillars, but I'm also assuming that we'll like switch out who's fighting them. Like it's not gonna just be like these four people fighting a bunch of these Arrancar. Mostly because it wouldn't have the like, I don't know, it wouldn't be like the best thing to watch if we were just like watching these four people fight a bunch of Arrancar. Be like, what are the rest of the Soul Reapers doing? So Kira was pretty intense during this fight. I didn't expect him to be this disconnected in a like conflict situation because he's a fairly like sweet person, just like normally in life. But there's definitely some like disconnect that he uses when he's actually fighting someone. Which I guess like the only other time we've seen him seriously fight was against Matsumoto, which like who he wasn't actually trying to like hurt. So I guess that's part of it too. Like this. That this shocked me a little bit. Like that's far more brutal than I would have expected from Kira. Yes, next fighter. I'm interested to see what Hisagi kind of what his chosen ability is. Like how he chooses to fight. Because he looks rather bored at the moment. I find the breaking of the mask interesting too, because usually with Arrancar, breaking their mask is like a bad thing, but it seems to be part of his ability. And the real fight begins. Who was that? Who did we throw through a building? Oh, Hisagi. Oof. I don't think I like that crazed facial expression. Or the maniacal laughter. Oof. Way to pull an Ichigo. Anyone else remember when he just like kept spinning when Grimjo was fighting him? There's some cool animation in this fight though. Like some good weight behind the movements, which is nice given the like speed that the characters are moving at. Sometimes if you have characters moving really fast, they kind of seem weightless and it makes it a little bit less impactful when you have them like interact with environments or with like weapons and stuff. Ooh, you know what? I didn't think I would be this like emotionally connected, but I'm gonna get Jasper. Can't you just go up or down? How widespread are these? Come on, you got this. You were temporarily a captain for convenient reasons. Uh-oh, he's looking a little shaky. Oof. Unnecessary to hit him with like the grip of your sword. Oof. Me too. I'm also wondering why he seems so exhausted and like out of breath. I wonder if there's like a reason for it. Does that have something to do with this Arrancar's weapon? Findor sounds like a name from Lord of the Rings. Apropos of nothing. See, we have lobster claws of some kind. I guess they could be pincers, but I'm gonna go with lobster. I guess he's just like slightly put out with the extravagance of the person he has to fight. What are we doing? Ooh, that's cool. I wasn't sure exactly what those were, if they were like tattoos or if they were jewelry or what. It's cool they have like kind of like a flash bomb thing. Good thing you didn't get hit by that. Is it like condensed air? Ooh, water. Because of the whole lobster thing. Hisagi's agile, though. He's really good at, like, recovering from being attacked in terms of his movement. I say probably right before he gets hit by something. Uh-oh. Yeah, the evil laugh makes me uncomfortable. Ooh, that's cool. Is everybody waiting for him to get serious? Or not? I think it looks pretty cool. Ooh, cutting everybody's hair in these fights, aren't they? That's so cool though, the way he like throws it and it spins with the chain. It's kind of like with White Ichigo would use uh that Zanpakuto. Sengetsu. Took me a minute to remember what Ichigo's Zanpakuto is called. We haven't seen him in a while. Um, but obviously like utilizing that tactic a little bit more. I'm like, does he have another end of his weapon? Oof. That's cool though, because it's like it's useful for both like close combat and distance. Obviously not like a huge distance like a bow and arrow or something, but it definitely has some distance to it, which is makes it more versatile. That look though, a little bit. It's true, he still does have part of his mask, which means he's got more power saved up. I mean, he was like a substitute captain for a little while, so. Ooh. Hisagi's pretty brutal too. Soul Society getting serious when they fight people. Because they kind of held back when they were fighting in Soul Society. Because they weren't actually trying to kill anyone. That's a pretty epic shot. The like Seto going around him. And it's a good thing this is a fake version of the city or the property damage. I'm assuming his weapon like cut through all the way. It's not just about power. Uh-oh. One of the pillars got ruined? Does it have to do with Ikagu? Did something happen to him? I worry. Because we haven't seen him in a while. I think it's Ikagu's fight. No, I like Ikagu. Well, somebody better beat him up. This art card that thinks he can just walk in and hurt Ikagu. Also, a pillar was destroyed, which I guess is like not a good thing given like that they're important to keeping the people of the city safe, but just gotta have my priorities straight, I guess. There's like a random fluff on Jasper. Not important, I guess. I need some kind of preview though. I need to know if the next episode I'm gonna have to live through Ikagu getting hurt, or if we're leaving it to the imagination. They're gonna make me live through it, aren't they? Before we get into some of the other enemies. Remember Tatsuki? I miss her. Preview, please. Aw, I love how supportive Ukitake is. I love all the like personal philosophy that we're getting from like all of these different people because we started off with Yamichika and learning some about like his reasons for like who he wants to be seen as and like what kind of fighter or soul reaper he wants to embody, and then we got to see some of Kira, and now we get to see Hisagi and like where he's coming from and like what he learned from being a part of his squad. And it's just I don't know, I find it fascinating. Maybe it's annoying to some people who just want to see a cool fight, but like I love the context that we always get in Bleach about the characters along with the conflict. And I think it's really important to have that in this case, especially with Hisagi, because his captain was Tosen, who of course is like now an adversary. So getting some insight into like what he learned from him and like what Hisagi took away from being a lieutenant with Tosen, I think is really important to just like understanding, Tosen and like why he acts the way that he does, why he decided to side with Aizen. I went a little bit into some of how that related with Kira and Gin and like how I was like, I feel like I need to go into whatever we end up learning about Gin with a different mindset because I never thought of linking something like despair with kind of the fake happy facade that Gin usually has. Whereas with this one, it's a little bit different. I feel like we've learned a lot more about who Tosen is. Tosen, I feel like, is a very like genuine person, even if like I don't necessarily agree with some of his views. I think he 100% believes that they're true. Whereas like Gin is like a mystery and never says things the way that he never says things plainly. So it's a completely different thing with Tosen, but I feel like it's still important to like distinguish between like what Tosen did and like the parts of Tosen's belief that I don't agree with and like the impact that he was able to have on people in a positive way. Like I feel like it's easy to kind of frame adversaries or villains in a very two-dimensional way and be like, well, they're just bad people. Like that's it. And I really like that Bleach never lets things get black and white. Like even with this conflict where it's like, oh, obviously we're going to be fighting Aizen and all the people who have like decided to work with him versus like Soul Society and everybody else. And Aizen and the people that he's working with, they're the bad guys, and Soul Society and the people that they're with, they're the good guys. And it's kind of easy to go into this conflict thinking those are the two things. Well, okay, let's take a step back and let's understand why these people have made the decisions that they have and like why they view like their decisions as the right ones. And I like that we got this very different idea of what being a fighter is, of Hisagi saying like you have to fear your weapon because if you don't fear it then you shouldn't be wielding it, and learning that from Tosen. And I like that there is again another angle of coming at what being a Soul Reaper means, building on that diversity and letting there be lots of different reasons for why people fight and the mentality they go into a fight with. I'm still hype about Hisagi's just like cool Zanpakuto, so there's that. I'm also distraught because Ikagu and also one of the pillars is broken now, so I feel like I'm a little bit scattered, but hopefully my thoughts made some kind of coherent sense. I'll know when I edit this. But let's get into episode 220. In 3, 2, 1, go. Ooh, we're not beginning with the opening song. Yes. Ugh. Remember when Bleach wasn't widescreen? It took forever for us to get to widescreen. Yes. What's Groomjo up to? Last we saw him, he was just like injured, lying on the ground, and we left him. I don't know why we needed that recap before the opener started, but sure. Should get Jasper. Because if we're gonna start being like Ikagu got injured, I'm gonna need some support. I really vibe with this opener. I don't know what it is about it, but I don't think there have been any openers for Bleach that I haven't liked, which is remarkable. Usually there's at least one, or multiple, especially when there's so many. Like, if it's like a shorter show, then obviously there aren't as many openers to choose from, so. Okay. Are we still recapping? Because I remember this. I just saw it. Yes. Saki's weapon is so cool. And he's like, I don't like it. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? Yep. Ugh, Yamichika was so upset. Yeah. He's not going to cool his head. Ooh, what's that? Are we drugging him or something? It's a good question. Is it still going to have the city be uh is it gonna bring back part of the city? Uh-oh. He probably didn't use his Bankai, right? Because he doesn't want people to know that he could use it. Because then they're more likely to make him be a captain. He doesn't want to leave his squad. Oh no. Oof. Oh, why? Ooh. Is it the captain dude? The not fox, as people corrected me? Isn't he supposed to be like a wolf? And I'm like, that's not what a wolf looks like. But, whatever. Who am I to tell him who he is? Good work. Gotta be careful about destroying some of these homes now, though, because some of them are like the actual homes, and there are like people in them. Tiny that sword looks in his hands, though. No wonder he doesn't use it while fighting most of the time. Well, that's terrifying. Can't Captain also turn into a giant fighting machine? Like a Power Ranger? Ipa. He's just helping his drinking buddy. I like how most of this is like the other members of squads trying to like corral Squad 11. Cause like, yeah, that's definitely usually how it would go, wouldn't it? Oh, see, some of that's the actual city though. They're like people, and those are their homes, and I need everyone to be careful. He does. Stop lying. He's got this. We haven't really seen him fight a whole lot either. He picked a fight with like Tosen and or picked a fight with Tosen against Kampachi, and then we saw him fight briefly against Aizen. He did just throw someone who's like 20 times his size though, which is very impressive. The captains are starting to get involved though. That's how you know that we've leveled up the fight. I'm just thinking about yawning and trying really hard not to yawn. Not the point of this interaction, but dang it, I was trying so hard not to yawn. But I was thinking about it too much. Looks a little shaken now. What happened to being a maggot? Oof. Ooh, uppercut though. Oof. Just break his hand so that he would have a free hand, because that's pretty metal. I'm sorry, you can't tell me that's not some Power Ranger stuff right there. Oof. I keep freaking out about of buildings getting destroyed, even though like they're not actually there. Yeah, it's probably best that you weren't in the near facility of that. It's a fair point. Ooh, It's a fair point though. Like, if you're not going to do like if you want to do whatever it takes to win a fight, holding back your strength isn't putting everything into it, is it? He knows. He's just pretending that it's none of his business. But four down. Next four up. Or at least three. I guess there's only three pillars left. Who's next? You're not gonna tell me who's next? I'm gonna wait for a preview then. I want to know what other fights we're gonna get into. I do like that we didn't like focus on Ikagu's fight. I know it might seem like weird for me to say as someone who likes Ikagu, but like I was saying, we've seen him fight a lot, so I like that we got to focus on someone else. On Ka I can't remember the captain's name. I'll have to look it up so I know it. But getting to focus on a different fighter, a different fighting style, and also just showing off the fact that, you know, these members of the squads did really well in this fight. The captains are like a whole different level. So, you know, really getting to see the captains shine a lot, both in this part, but like the previous part too, where they showed up to like bail out Ichigo and Huecomundo. Ooh, it looks like more of the captains are getting involved. We'll see. We'll have to wait, I guess. Logi. Sure. Mm-hmm. Yes, they are. You always know when a fight is getting into its like intense phase when all the captains start joining the fights. So I'm excited that we have finished off this kind of first wave of Arrancar. We're moving on to the next one, and it looks like the captains are going to stop standing around and are actually going to get into the conflict. A little bit higher stakes in terms of there only being three pillars left instead of four. So that barrier that I guess it's not really a barrier, but like the illusion that Urahara put up is starting to crumble and the town is starting to come back to the actual living world, which is bad if we don't want Aizen to kill off a bunch of people. So looks like things are starting to get more and more intense. I do like that we're kind of pushing a lot of these characters to, we set up a lot of the philosophies and like why people are fighting and the different squads being from like different motivations of why they're fighting. But I like that we're getting into some stuff about people having to decide like how much they are committed to this specific conflict that's happening. And we got that with the conversation between Ida and Ikagu, where it was like, are you more concerned with your pride and like what you think is important as you as a fighter, or are you concerned with this conflict and the people that are involved in it and like the stakes that are part of that? And I feel like specifically going up against Aizen and going up against the Espada and Arrancar in general is really going to push a lot of these characters to do better, to improve, to dig into their strength and use everything that they have, and also like have to recommit to being soul reapers, to being fighters. This is probably like the most intense and important conflict that they've had in a really long time. Like, we're not just talking about someone who is, you know, attacking a bunch of people in the living world like you would get with a bunch of hollows. We're talking about someone who is trying to make themselves into a new hierarchy, into an opposing force in its foundation to Soul Society. Like, Aizen isn't trying to just like, let's kill a bunch of people. He's like, I want to be the king of my own system, of my own group of people. And we talked a bit about like the god imagery that Aizen leans into. And he's also trying to pull apart what Soul Society is. Like, this is a very important conflict that is happening. And I feel like a lot of this is Soul Reapers just like waking up and realizing how important this conflict is, and having to decide just how committed they are and really figure out like what matters. Is it their personal philosophies? Is it their own, own moral compass? Like, what exactly they personally fight for? Or is it more on a macro level? Is it about the conflict itself? Is it about the stakes itself? Is it about the people that need to be protected? Like, having to choose exactly what is motivating them and having that push them in deciding how they interact with the conflict. And I like that we have these two members from Squad 11, partly just because I like Ikagu and Yamichika in general, but I like that we're having some contrast there. Like, both of them coming from the same squad, both of them having basically the same philosophy when it comes to conflict and fighting. And we have Yamichika, who is, very firmly on the side of, I would rather keep my Zanpakuto a secret and die trying than give away that secret. Like, he would rather die with his pride intact than otherwise. And then we have Ikagu, who like made that decision of being like, yeah, I'd rather lose this fight than lose my pride, because he didn't want to show his Bankai, and then ultimately rethinking it, of him being like, well, actually, it's important for me to like fulfill the orders given to me and to like fulfill the expectations given to me. Ikagu, I think, legitimately wants to help people. We've seen him, multiple times be very emotionally attached to people and decide to fight because of people around him. I feel like there's a lot of similarities between Ichigo and Ikagu. So, I feel like Ikagu is ultimately probably going to fall on the side of, I need to protect people and I need to be fighting for that more like macro level reason for being in this fight than just sticking with the personal reasons. And like, the personal reasons are important too, but I feel like he is very much willing to put that aside for something bigger. You can click this playlist to watch my other reactions in this part of the arc, or you can subscribe. I post new Bleach episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!